Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to Firing Range, a podcast to talk about all things Destiny, weapons, abilities, loadouts, and the Sandbox at large. And before we begin the show tonight, we would like to share a statement from all of us here at the Firing Range podcast and DCP as a whole. We would like to acknowledge those in this country and around the world who have struggled and continue to struggle living their lives in an unbalanced system. Yes, this is a video game podcast, so why should we, quote, go out of our lane? The fact that we have the ability to remain in our lane is a privilege in itself, and it's important that we understand that there are entire communities out in the world who are unable to get out of the struggles in their lane. Struggles that we cannot ignore. All of us here collectively feel that to not comment on the continuing imbalance apparent in the justice system would be akin to turning a blind eye, and that is something that none of us are comfortable with. As we recognize those who are struggling to make their voices heard, we know that it's within our ability to amplify their voices so more people out there can both hear and understand their message. If you would like to learn more, including how to contribute financially to an important cause, or to sign your name to an important petition, you can visit any number of organizations or sites, including blacklivesmatter.com, antiracismcenter.com, aclu.org, and so many others that you can find online by simply reaching out, getting involved, or beginning a dialogue. We ask you to please continue sharing any resources that you find valuable, to reach out to others, to have a discussion, and to learn from one another. And gentlemen, I want to say thank you for all of us coming together to put our thoughts to paper. It's very important, and it was a good discussion that we had. It felt like it's always comfortable and nice to be among like-minded gentlemen who, we were all on the same page. So I want to thank you. Yeah.
You're here.
I want to thank each and every one of you. So it's important.
Very much so.
Yeah. We have...
Yeah, very well said.
Thank you, boys. We've got a lot to talk about. A lot of things are going on. And by that I mean we're all looking up and staring at the sun, right? Isn't that the top tier content we're all enjoying in the game? Did you guys see the sun today? Oh man, it's getting closer. No, since our last episode, we were talking about the Fellwinter's Lie. You all remember that, don't you?
Very much so.
The door. I remember the door.
Oh yeah, always remember. So between that episode and this episode, we now have our hands on the Fellwinter. Does anyone have any initial thoughts on the gun? Were we close to the mark? Who has any strong thoughts now that we have the gun?
We were pretty close as far as it goes. I mean, I can say that I was not surprised at all. It seemed like it fit right at home in the area of the sandbox that we thought it was going to fit. So I hate to pat ourselves on the back here, but I think we were pretty on the mark.
I think we were dead on. I feel like I made a little bit of a bold claim, and I was secretly hoping, I hope it doesn't just map people. I hope it's not just insane and makes us sound like, we were just way off. But I think it's what a lot of us expected.
We definitely tempered our expectations correctly there.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe it's the best spread shotty in the game currently, and that's subjective, right? Like, if, like Fallout, we always bring up, you have a really nice Mindbenders. Like he has the quick draw snapshot, feels very good probably. I would never know. Like if I had one, I could make a comment on it. But it's everything you really want out of a shotgun. I first thought like maybe it could get a 10-meter kill range, but it's about 9. Like that's like the highest of highest ends, and that's a pretty long way. Like I was using rapid fire frame fusion rifles against it, and Fellwinter doesn't care about rapid fire frame fusion rifles. Like doesn't care. So it's very strong, and hopefully like into the future, similar, maybe they just take that archetype, that frame, and put on different perks, do different things. But I enjoy it. It's really good.
Yeah, Cool Guy, we actually kind of jumped into a private match together live on Twitch to kind of tinker around day one. That was actually kind of fun, bringing someone in with me to the world of madness that we all know as shotgun testing. What was the claim that, well, one of us was like, oh man, what if it could do like 10 meters?
That was me. I was like, what if we could do about 10? Like 9's pretty far though.
Man.
That's
Yeah, it pretty routinely can knock off those really deep one-hit kills at like 9 meters, you know what I mean? You gotta have that opening shot. I didn't do too much work with slide shot. Are you guys with me on, like, I really like slide shot when available for other weapons, but especially for guns like a shotgun, where you're gonna put out one big shot, you know what I mean? Like if you have like an auto rifle or whatever, you're gonna put out a bunch of shots. Opening shot, you really get big benefits on guns where it's just boom, big one and done, like a shotgun. And I've been strictly using opening shot pretty much all the time when I'm equipped with the Fellwinter. Anyone doing anything differently?
I'm setting up an armor set so that if sunsetting doesn't offer quick draw weapons, I have Dragon Shadow and Ophidian Aspect, which improve the handling. So on Fellwinter, I sometimes run slide and opening.
I tried that to start, and I don't know, man. I felt like it was too marginal of a bonus. Like, slide shot's awesome. I miss it because I have a mindbender's slide shot. And of course, when you're running slide shot, you can still run opening. Obviously, you'd be giving up the quick draw portion for slide shot to make that. But I felt it was too marginal of a bonus, even though I love that perk, to have to always use and commit my dodge. You know, obviously also Cam using the Dragon Shadow, having to commit my dodge, and then have a little bit sometimes of a lull where I don't have that handling. It was just, I don't know. I couldn't wrap my head around how inconsistent it felt, and how much I had to utilize my dodge simply for a handling boost, for what felt like a marginal boost.
Yeah, I totally get that, but it's more of just like I'm future-proofing in case there aren't easily obtainable quick draw weapons. Because myself, I use a quick draw primary and a quick draw shotgun, which keeps the downtime as low as possible. So it effectively is the fastest swap in the game if both of the weapons have it.
And also remember, one of the main things is being able to run over ammo and loading it right in the chamber with slide shot. Like if you're running Dragon Shadow and Ophidians, it's really good for like classic and control and larger game modes where you can run over the ammo and just go target to target, and also have the handling benefits of Dragon Shadow.
Yeah, I was gonna say this podcast, people come in here to get the details on some of these perks, and quick draw improves both the stow and the equip speed, and that stow speed effectively makes the swap faster if you have it on both weapons. And so since Ophidian Aspects and Dragon Shadow unlocks it on both weapons, it's effectively faster.
Yeah, I was definitely really feeling it with the Dragon Shadow. Like, I just love that piece of armor. It's super enjoyable. I actually kind of needed it for the Fellwinter, even though because, you have that opening shot quick draw, which is like a hot combo. But I have been running my snapshot quick draw mindbender for so long that even though, the snappiness of quick draw, even though it's like you only lose like just a small handful of frames, like there were a couple times where like I could feel the drop. I was like, oh man, I need the snapshot. It adds so little when you already have quick draw, but like, I don't know. And then you put on the Dragon Shadow, fixed it right up. It really is a beautiful gun. I love using it.
I like Drew's approach, which is with opening shot, YM down sights sometimes.
Yeah, and that's what I value about opening shots on shotguns the most, actually. Well, seriously, because on controller, I want to go ahead and say it as someone that I feel personally that have put in a ton of hours playing on controller, obviously on PC, and I can only imagine this translates to console with shotguns. I think sniping personally feels easier in terms of like less awkward, I guess. It feels less awkward than shotguns. Because what I've been really trying to improve on recently is my shotgun play more than my sniping. Because you get into these ranges, especially, when you're going against MNKers, where it's you're so point blank on controller that it's so awkward to turn and find your target. especially if you're trying to like ADS and then your sensitivity is so much
Mm-hmm.
slower. Whereas an M&K player can just like, dude, there's some talented players out there that just flick to you and boom, you're done. So something I've been trying to do is actually just stay at the hip more, like really just hip fire more often, because that allows me to get take advantage of a faster sensitivity where I can get a little bit more comparable of a flick type aim. And opening shot lets you get a lot better accuracy even from the hip, and it makes it so that your shotgun is really, really surprisingly consistent from the hip. So I've been
So
I'll
liking
add
that.
that controllers are limited to 10 sensitivity, and Drew plays at those higher ends, and it still feels slow to M&K.
So I got used to, I actually have this. So I used to play on a much lower sensitivity on controller, and it was easier for me to learn sniping on max sensitivity on a controller than it was for me to learn shotgunning on a lower sensitivity controller. So much
Yeah,
so that I ended
I'm a
up
low
swapping
sensitivity
up.
player, so I'll add to this in a moment.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I had to do. I couldn't do close range gun battles at low sensitivity, or at least I didn't feel like I effectively could do them. So I actually brought my sensitivity up, and obviously you can't change sensitivity mid game very easily. And even if you could, it would probably be horrendous for muscle memory. So I was like, well, now I'm going to have to learn to snipe on the higher sensitivities. And I just did that. And that's the only way. But even so, 10 sensitivity on a controller is nothing compared to unlimited sensitivity on mouse and keyboard.
Yep,
That is
which
true.
the hip firing and allowing yourself to have better hip fire, more consistent and accurate hip fire, comparable almost to ADSing with opening shot on a shotgun, I think allows you to maximize on what feels like a faster, more responsive sensitivity.
That's
So
a
that's
good
what I've been
idea. I'm gonna have to try that more because now that I think about it, a lot of the times that we use shotguns, at least me anyway, which is why we value quick draw so much, is if we're in a gunfight, and our teammates are doing their job, everyone's doing their job, you're getting team shotting going on, you're getting damage, even if you've done like 50 damage to another guy, sometimes even less. You don't need to ADS. If you're within that magic shotgun range, you get to know the feel of that range. You just switch to it, you pull the trigger, bam, they'll go down. You don't even need to ADS. I mean, like, because they're weak. And you've got an aggressive frame shotgun. You're doing sick damage. But I haven't really looked into hipfire opening shot. I'll probably have to check that out. Drew, do you know off the top of your head, like, when you're ADSing, we're talking 8 usually. Maybe if you're lucky, you get a 9er in there. I think Cool Guy and I got a couple 9ers in there with the opening shot. But like hipfire, do you know off the top of your head, like how far maybe for a full health enemy?
I'm
If
not
you don't,
sure,
that's okay. I'm just
off the top of my
curious.
head. What I will say though is just remember now, what kind of sparked this thought in my head more than ever is that remember they changed shotguns so that ADSing doesn't increase your range anymore. It's only tightening your accuracy cone, which is a big deal as we've mentioned. But that's a whole dimension of like reason to ADS that isn't quite as present. So like it doesn't matter if you're ADS or you're like hip firing, you're still getting the same damage output and still getting increased by opening shot. To be fair, I usually only hip fire when it's in like those point blank scenarios or when my target's weak. I don't go for like straight up like 9-meter or 8-meter one hit kills. Like I'm always expecting to swap unless I'm in like awkward point blank in people's face range. Then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hip fire and I'm going to expect to get a one hit kill. So I don't know. I don't know the range off the top of my head.
I would like to talk about Vorpal real quick on it. I think I wouldn't say it's like for PvP. I'm not gonna say it's a novelty, but like you just get way more traction and tread out of opening shot, and you're more, I guess day-to-day engagements, game by game. That's not saying Vorpal's bad, but you're just gonna get more out of opening shot. In PvE, it's pretty good because remember, it still does have it's still an aggressive frame. So after you get a kill on an ad, it does shoot faster. So you can get a kill on an ad and then just start laying that damage into a major and get Vorpal on them. So like I was pretty impressed with it there. What do you guys think about Vorpal on it?
I was gonna ask you actually, because last time we talked about this, we said, the lightweight with Vorpal.
Yeah.
Would that potentially be still the best Vorpal shoddy? What do you? Because you were talking about that last time.
Dude, I think even with Fellwinter out, dude, I think the CQC 12, the lightweight frame with those perks, quick draw Vorpal, I think it's still a top tier shotgun.
Do you think it's the better Vorpal?
No. And I say that it depends on what you're doing. It depends on what you're doing. If I'm on a hunter, I'm taking the CQC 12. If I'm on a bottom tree striker, it's the Fellwinter.
I think you need to elaborate.
I understand.
Do you understand?
Yeah, definitely elaborate.
Yeah. So
I
like
see where you're going. I just want the viewers to hear now. Let's go.
So why you would run the CQC 12 in a lightweight shotgun in the Crucible is for the mobility, right? It shoots faster. It can two-tap a super. Like if I'm on a hunter, if I have stompies or I have triple jump, you can do different level changes with that, with your movement. So like your knee slides, and just remember, it just handles better, period, because it's lightweight frame. So you can use your movement and your dodges and get in a couple shots, whereas a bottom tree striker with knockout, I will be able to break shields with a Fellwinter Vorpal, and knockout will kill them, especially if I'm on the NTS wards. Now, I can still do that with the CQC 12 on bottom tree striker, but it's going to be resilience dependent. Fellwinter doesn't care because it's an aggressive frame. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was thinking the
awesome.
melee range on the striker and it being a higher impact, breaking the shield earlier.
Yeah. I mean, there's top tree Arc Strider too, right? Combination blow.
Yeah, well put.
Movement wise, CQC 12. Pretty firm on that. It's so good on a hunter, man.
I also
That's
wanted
true.
to ask if you guys have noticed that you need better aim with the Fellwinters. I feel like I have personally. Like I feel like I know if I didn't very, very intentionally line up almost like not quite slug shotgun levels, but if I did not line up and center that shot correctly, I notice a pellet doesn't hit sometimes or most times, or I don't get that deep one-hit kill range. I don't know if you guys noticed that because the different, the shot package effect, the uniform shot spread. I feel like I've noticed that if I do not center my shot right, I don't get a lot of one-hit kills as consistent.
I'll
I
say
can only
yes to that.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I can only speak from a personal point of view where I needed to be more patient with the Fellwinter because after being in that Mindbender camp for so long, you develop really extreme muscle memory when you use one weapon over and over and over. And that's my bad, you know what I mean? When I'm doing trials help, I'll frequently use the Mindbender because I want the path of least resistance. Like if I'm goofing around with the boys, using whatever, trying to do loadouts, having fun, I'll use whatever. Again, if I'm trying to help someone go flawless who has never been flawless before, I kind of want to go all out. I want to abuse the best options I have, so I'm going that Mindbender. And again, you just develop that muscle memory over such a long period of time. So I was trying to force myself to be more patient with the Fellwinter. Also, it's like when you ADS with the Fellwinter, it's clunky. It's like the view is obscured.
I'm glad you said it. I was going to say.
It's bulky.
The sides
Like
are horrid.
the barrel is thick and it covers a lot of your screen. And if you compare it to the default, skin of the Mindbender, you have a really clean ADS. You know what I mean? It's smaller, like the barrel's thinner. You know what I mean? You can see more. So it was a little bit of a tweak, a manual adjustment, but you just have to beat it into your brain for a little bit.
I don't feel like I was getting away with this many mouse and keyboard windshield wiper type aims where you just swing across the screen and pull the trigger. Mindbenders, it'll give it to me more often than not. Fellwinter, I had to pause for just a brief millisecond, make sure I'm dead center of chest, then pull.
What do you think, Mark?
Well, I mean, I'm not a shotgun player, so again, I judge things by how often I get killed by it. And I will say it's probably the most common gun for me to die to in the Crucible right now. I think it has firmly taken its place as most used of the shotguns, not in the least because it's a guaranteed god roll, which is probably the only reason Mindbenders isn't still up there. I don't find it to be unfair at all in terms of its distance. What does interest me is the fact that Bungie worked so hard to get every other shotgun in the game underneath that 9-meter kill range. And now they're giving us a gun that hits it again. So my question is, are they saying that 9 meters is okay for shotguns to hit at? Will we expect to see other shotguns killing at this 9-meter range?
Oh.
I don't mind if we do, if they're like Fellwinters, which, Drew, you guys have all said it, have to be aimed dead center. It has a tighter pellet spread, so it more rewards you at distance, but it is more punishing if you are inaccurate up close, right? I feel like that's a fair trade-off. If that's the direction they're going to go, or long-range shotguns, I don't have an issue with that. But I wonder if this is a one-off thing or an experiment, or if it's something we're going to see more of in the future.
I wonder too. I hadn't thought about that possibility. That rather than making Fellwinter kind of the exception to the rest, maybe it's the first of its kind. That would be interesting. I would really be curious to see what they're drawing up in terms of shotguns and overall other weapons moving into Season 11 and 12.
The Matador 65.
Matador 69, bro. Come on now, just jump a couple generations.
Nice.
So, are you guys, for those of you that got the ornament, do you guys like we were talking about how bulky it feels, right? The model. Do you guys like the ornament better or without the ornament better if you've tried it?
I'm trying to force myself to use the ornament more because I like the cleaner ADS. Like, you have to aim differently. Like, I think you have to aim a tad lower, if that makes sense. Like, it's just sort of like almost, it's like an optical illusion. And I have to comment on this because I know I get asked every other day on Twitch about the barrel length. So like about a year, I'm making a video on this right now. So about a year ago, if you follow my channel, we put out a video that showed that the chaperone, if you were to put a different ornament on it, what is the ornament? The Panama Ravine?
Canal.
Or canal.
Is it the Ravine?
No, it's definitely Ravine.
Yeah, Ravine. The Panama Canal. Panama Ravine. It extends the length of your barrel by like a couple of inches. Like a little blue pill, and it improves your damage drop off, because apparently what Bungie has done, which is like, I was borderline impressed by it. Like, I thought
Bungie employees hate them. Find out in one small secret.
Look, wouldn't you have thought that when Bungie designed the weapons, it'd be like, okay, for all shotguns, the pellets come out at this point on the barrel, no matter what the skin looks like? Wouldn't you have thought that would have been the design? But the pellets come out wherever the barrel finishes. Right? So we're not going to finish this discussion. So
We're adults.
We're grown-ups. We're grown-ups here. With the skin, your damage drop-off is better. So barrel length can affect the performance of your gun.
Yes, it can.
This podcast.
So now the question: does the Fellwinter ornament affect anything?
Okay, that's the question people have been asking me. So I've done multiple sessions in a private lobby. I don't know, because here's the thing about the chaperone, right? Is that I'm giving this all away, by the way. I'm putting this out on a video on this weekend, but whatever. I'll give you a preview. With a gun like the chaperone, you know right away. Why? Because there's no RNG. It's a slug shotgun. You just find where the damage drop-off point begins, and then you switch skins. Oh, look, the damage drop-off point just got better. All I did was just stand here and switch skins. That's all. And with the spread, it's really freaking hard to know, because you can stand in one spot without moving and shoot a guy, and the damage can come up 23, 22, 21, 20, all in one shot. You back up a little further. 18, 19, 20, 21, all in one shot. So how do you know when you've reached that point? And if you switch to the other skin, and then you shoot that person again, and you get more damage overall, you can't look at the damage output overall, because if you do, you could have just gotten lucky with a really good pellet spread, right? I mean, even though the pellet spread cone on the Fellwinter is naturally tight by design, thanks to shot package, you can still stand in one spot, pull the trigger 3 times, and get 3 different damage outputs, right? So it's almost impossible to know if the skin is improving the performance of the damage output or the pellet damage, or if it's just random shotgun RNG BS. You really can't know for sure. But like, since we've noticed on several guns in the game that the longer barrel gives like a slightly better performance, I would say it probably does, but by a degree so minimal it would almost never matter in game. I'm just going to use it solely because I like the cleaner scope, not because I think it's like, oh yeah, noticeable performance. Like on some guns, you can notice right away, like the Botheration, that blue one, because the barrel's ridiculous, right? It's like an extra barrel altogether. You would notice right away if you were to switch back and forth between that a gun like the Mindbender. I'm talking a lot about barrel length right now. This is oddly uncomfortable and sexual, but
So, like,
yeah.
as far as ornaments go, Polaris Lance is one that I prefer the ornaments on. It makes it a lot cleaner on the sight, less visual
Sure.
obstruction.
Sure.
Vigilance Wing is another one that
Wing
has
Miner.
That's another
sights
one,
that
yeah.
change when you swap the ornament, which is nice.
It's,
Which ornament in particular? That one has like 4 of them.
The Vigil for Saint 14 is the one that I
Same
use.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's-
Olive drab colored one.
Any
Yeah.
weapon that was dropped from a quest line has the most ornaments. Ace. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Never
the
thought about
default-
that, actually.
Yeah,
The
so
default
Mida,
ornament on the
those are the
Vigil
ones
Wing.
that have the 5 and 6. So people are like, why does Colony have one? Why does Ace
Hmm.
keep getting them? It's because they're quest lines.
Oh, Mida's a huge one though. It loses the chevron and gets a red dot.
Which is awesome. I hate the chevron. Little
Me
stupid
too.
hat.
Like, thank you, Bungie. It was great.
But
Talk
it's
about the
interesting
fallen
that you can switch shaders, or it's not shaders, excuse me, weapon skins, and you can get a cleaner experience. Like, I remember people were telling me for a long time, they're like, "Oh, dude, the Vigil Wing is like dirty. It's nasty. It's really fun to use, and you should give it a whirl." And it just wasn't clicking with me. And then I changed the skin to the Vigil of Saint 14, like we mentioned. And like, it doesn't have that really narrow gold. You know, those wings that come up on the gun, which kind of like form the sides of the scope. I find them like distracting. They get in the way. They can block out enemies if you're far away enough with just the way that they're placed. And then the Vigil of Saint 14, it widens everything. It's just much cleaner. So I think it's usually a good rule of thumb. Would you guys agree? Like, if we ever get new guns, no matter what they are, like, mess around with the weapon skins, because you could stumble onto something and the weapon could feel better to you.
Even shaders. Sometimes I like to make my special weapon and my primary just crazily opposite colors, so I know which one I have out in like a flash.
Good call.
I was gonna say regarding the Fellwinter ornament, about that, I don't like it so much because it's weird. I feel like it, as much as it is slimmer, you have to aim like you said, Fallout. I found the same. You have to almost aim
Like,
lower.
yeah.
It looks like.
Sure.
So it was a little bit odd to me. So what I'm liking about, even though the original look is very clunky compared to something like the Mindbenders, which has like such a slim profile, very well defined like little rails to line up with. I felt that I liked the Fellwinter original better because what I've been doing is lining up the end of the barrel with like players' knees roughly, and that's been like pretty consistently getting those deep one-hit kills when I do line it up.
Astro Horizon, best sight in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm gonna go Mindbender. I think with the Astral, I feel a little cabin fever on it. Like, I feel like the walls are closing in there. That like there's part of it that I like, but I guess I'm just spoiled by the Mindbender, which is just like so free and minimal in the ADS department. I don't know.
I'm going with CQC 12 ornament. But one more thing on shotguns real quick, and like it's pure speculation, something I've been like working on. I'm gonna tell. I mean, we have the shotgun guy here. Like I honestly think, man, when they exit the barrel, come out the cone, I honestly think they come out in a fan, dude. I honestly do. I honestly do. Like,
Don't even begin to put that evil on me, cool guy.
I think it's like a cyclone coming out. I really do. For another day.
I would just love to sit there with Bungie and be like, how does this work? Like, does it like this? Like, I feel like I'd be like a crazy person with like a wagon full of rolled up scrolls and papers and stuff like that. But yeah, if anything changes regarding because I'm still working on it. Like, I'm planning later tonight to go back in and do more goofing around with the Fellwinter ornament, because I'm sure it might provide something. I just need to kind of continue to dig around the RNG, which there's just like so much of in shotguns. But for right now, I just like the skin because of the cleaner. Even though, Drew, you're right. Like, you definitely have to aim like noticeably lower, like deceptively lower, like almost to their feet.
Yeah.
Like,
it was weird. It was weird for me.
it was weird for me. I didn't like it. I didn't care for it.
Yeah, it was odd.
Any before we move on from the Fellwinter, any noticeable drawbacks about the weapon that you don't like, that you think kind of spoiled your week 1, week 2 experience
Perfect
with the
in
gun?
every way.
Well, I mean, we were just on
like
it.
cool
The
guy.
look.
Yeah.
Give me a sight on it.
Yeah.
It's fine. You'll be all right.
Yeah, for sure.
It'll be fine.
It'll be all right.
What mods do you guys put on it? I sort of have like a rule of thumb with shotgun weapon mods. I just kind of want to hear from you guys about what you put on your shotties.
Icarus always.
Icarus always.
I mean, I think the obvious is Icarus. I played with targeting adjuster for a bit because it has 5 less aim assist than Mindbender, so why not give it the same?
Why not bridge the gap there a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think like maybe because I have opening shot, which increases the accuracy, similarly to like what Icarus does, and you have the consistent power spread. I thought it would be like comparable, but I don't know. It just didn't feel as good to me as Icarus.
My rule of thumb is I almost always roll default with Icarus, unless I might be playing on a subclass that might be wearing some kind of boots, possibly exotic, that might encourage one to slide on the ground. I don't know what boots those might be, but if those boots existed on some kind of class that were able to abuse said boots, then maybe I would run targeting adjuster, because I would be spending more time in the dirt, like the roach that I am, rather than jumping in the air to take advantage of Icarus. So that's kind of my default thought process with shotgun weapon mods. But I just wanted to hear from you guys. Yeah.
Just imagine something like that existing.
God, I can't even imagine. What would it
I
be
use
like?
I use Icarus obviously for slugs targeting, but
Yeah, there you
Icarus.
go. Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, let's move on to topic 2. Enough about shotguns for one day. God. We have not spoken since one of the Bungie twabs. That's the This Week at Bungie. If you are Deej listening to this podcast, we apologize for using the word twab. But come on. It's a twab. Just call it what it is, Deej. Stop beating around the bush. This twab, as it were, from the end of May, gave us a pretty clean look into the future of Season 11. There are a lot of things to go over, because I know a lot of people are talking about this. We're like 1 week away. By the time you're going to hear this podcast, possibly on YouTube or wherever you listen to fine quality video game podcasts, we're just going to be days away. So I figured, guys, do you all have the TWAB open? We could just kind of comb through. I know there's a lot to cover, but we can definitely give some valuable insight on a couple of these things.
Yeah.
I got mine open.
Beautiful. Merc, I want to hear from you first, and I want to talk about something really important. It's the changes that they're making to reload perks, i.e. Outlaw, i.e. Feeding Frenzy. I think a lot of people have feelings about this, because Bungie has kind of recognized, at least in their mind, that the reload perks are insanely valuable and need to be trimmed back. So do you have any overall thoughts on the general snipping of the reload weapon perks?
I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. I think they brought the reload weapon perks in line with each other and in line with the overall power of where perks should be in the game. They did the same thing with the damage perks last season, and as we've seen, they're still quite good. Nobody's really struggling because the damage perks aren't as good as they once were. Problem is that damage and reload perks have been head and shoulders above almost every other perk that's not situational for basically the duration of the game. And people read nerf and they immediately assume they're destroying my favorite things that I love. But for anyone who actually took the time to read statistically the changes that they're making, they're not really that bad. And in fact, I give them so much credit for going into what makes reload happen. You know, the reload stat itself, the reload scaler, the fact that there's an empty duration scaler. They talked about all of that. They explained all of that. And with that knowledge in hand, when you look at the changes they're making, I would be willing to bet that a majority of people, once they get these changes in their hands, will be like, oh, that's not so bad. Okay, so it doesn't immediately jump to maximum fastest reload possible if I get one single body shot kill. But it definitely gives me a noticeable reload boost. So, I mean, I'm personally, and I don't think I'm alone here. I may be alone here, but I think these changes are both warranted and appropriate.
That's well put. Cammy, do you feel a certain way about it? Maybe different from Merc? Are you feeling the same page as him?
I'm on the same train. Like, these are great. I think when things are brought in line, it enables them to make more fun content, because if you don't instantly reload, they can account for that.
Yeah.
and you have to give up something in your build to get that reload.
Yeah, they phrased it interestingly, that they wrote the damage perks were adjusted quite a while back, but reload perks still don't feel like a choice. It's sometimes we can feel repetitive if we're looking for a gun that we want to perform well in PvP, and some people are like, hey, what role would you consider a good role? I mean, the safest option is always to be like, oh yeah, Outlaw Kill Clip or whatever. Just insert extra damage perk A and combine it with the better reload perk B. Boom, you got yourself a demigod roll minimum, right?
Oh, okay. Here's what I wanted to add to this one. It's like I breezed over this TWAB because, at least in the reload section, because reload doesn't really apply to the way I play. I try to enter engagements in PvP not having to reload.
You gotta tell me more, buddy.
The whole team's gone. Like, why do I need a fast reload? But in PvE, obviously, reload is the king, and I use auto-loading holster, so I just swap weapons.
Reloading, obviously, a huge... I mean, all of us come from strong PvP backgrounds. We are all lovers of PvP, but we definitely play PvE too, to an extent. And we know how strong that those reload perks can be. I mean, look, they nerfed Warlocks and Titans flat out back in the day, remember? Because when you could auto-reload a cluster bomb rocket launcher by standing behind a tiny little rally barricade, that's broken, because you don't need to reload. They put the reload into
that's what
a
I mean
weapon
with
to control it.
Designing encounters, right? That's exactly it.
So if it turned into it's like every raid, it was like, okay, we got the rally barricade, right? We got the Lunafaction boots, we all good? We're constantly trying to skirt having to reload our weapons, because it really translates to like optimal damage output. What's up, cool guy?
I think it's going to be okay. And they even say, note, because it was a plus 100 to the reload stat, it's going to be plus 50. I have a couple things to say about that. They say, note that most weapons have fairly high reload stats. So even though they're decreasing it, you're not really going to see too much of a slowdown. But what that also means in turn, that the reload stats can actually really matter on lower reload stat weapons. Like think 110 hand cannons. Because before, it doesn't really matter. Like the Duke that I run is a rapid hit with Rampage. I mean, some use Outlaw Kill Clip. You have Outlaw. Who cares, right? But even now, it's like, okay, if I get a reload mash to work, that's still okay. Like it's going to be helping out Outlaw. You know what I'm saying? So it puts some value into the reload stat. And like going into rapid hit, I'm totally cool with that because it was taking away from the reload perks. It was taking away from Zen Moment. Like rapid hit was just, I mean, can we all agree that's like the S tier perk?
Oh yeah,
Definitely
really
good. Yeah,
I think most of the community would agree with that. So like they're scaling it, and like I'm okay with all of it. I think it could have been worse too, right? I also think about that. Like I think this is a very good baseline. It makes the stat actually matter too when the weapon's rolled.
Has anybody paid attention to the 180 RPM reload speed of hand cannons?
Don't even get me
They're
started.
like painfully slow on them.
Yeah, like
It's very slow on a lot of them.
Painful.
Basically.
Dude, I used the one in PvE without the reload perk. I was bringing this up because now I have to care about the middle section of a weapon roll, where I'd have accurized rounds or ricochet or high cal. I might go flared magwell or alloy magazine now because of that.
Really?
yeah. Some inherent frame struggle, man. That's one of them.
Yeah, 180s, I'm telling you, man, it's so slow. Your guardian stops to look at the serial number and file taxes before you get that reload done, I promise.
He goes to make the bullets himself and load them into the gun one by one.
Yeah. Sits down at the bench, starts loading.
That's some good feedback there. Yeah, one quick thing before we move on to the next part of the TWAP, because we still have a lot to cover. I just thought it was interesting that they mentioned, which I had brought up earlier, that the reload perks on a lot of weapons don't feel like a choice. Like you have to make that decision or you're punishing yourself. Does anyone feel that way with quick draw and shotguns to a degree?
I mean, not for PvP, but I think for PvE, you're way less likely to be choosing quick draw on a weapon, and you're way more likely to be choosing something that decreases the downtime of the weapon once it's up, right? But for PvP, it's like, I mean, if I have a kill clip roll or a multi kill clip roll, I'll go with a reload thing. But like what Cammy said, if you're reloading hit engagement and it's not by design, you are an emergency. Right?
I'm talking specifically about shotguns, by the way.
Oh dear God, I hate shotguns. So.
I don't know about you guys.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think
I
yeah,
can tackle
very
this.
much. Quick
Yeah.
draw
There's
is
two camps
like,
on this.
I think that it's, for the majority of people, a very, very clear choice. That quick draw is a necessary perk on shotguns.
Yep.
I want to go ahead and say 95%. Unless it's lightweights that have inherently higher handling
Sure.
stats, which is fine. And even then, you know, if you really want to be picky enough about your swap speed, you could even contest.
Sure. It's just like that botheration, man. I keep going back to that with the long barrel because we know that it performs strangely well for its archetype, but I just can't force myself to use it because it feels like I'm trying to wield a shopping cart. You know what I mean? Like I need to WD-40 that sucker down. Like it feels bad when you're using a shotgun that's slow. You feel it in your bones. Like when you're trying to, like you see a guy, he's in that magic kill range. You want to just give him the hug of death. You try to switch to your gun, but no, he destroys you because he's faster than you. The optimal kill range on your shotgun ain't gonna mean squat if the other guy can hit you before you hit him. It's just like, I just thought it was interesting. I was wondering if anyone else was thinking at the back of their mind that in future updates, possibly Quick Draw might not be surprisingly on the chopping block.
I think it puts a lot of weight on the player, right? The same as a low zoom snapshot sniper, right? We see a lot of the same snipers. I mean, there's different reasons, but a lot of it is low zoom. And most snipers, and I would say if you were to take 10,000 players, I would say definitely over 9,000 have snapshot on them, like in PvP, you know what I'm saying? Or quick draw. It's just like that weight's put on the player. So it's almost like I wouldn't say a wasted perk, but it's like, what are my other options? Like the Firmly Planted opening shot, ISOL, pretty good, right? But most of the time, like the Beloveds and the Revokers they talk about, they have the handling perks. It's the handling. So I don't know what they could do, but it is weight on players.
It's what they have to do when it becomes ubiquitous like that. They either have to bring the base handling of the entire class of weapon up so that quick draw is no longer a necessity, or they have to
make it a mod.
Or they have to nerf quick draw into the ground, which is maybe more realistic, or they have to buff other stuff up to be as competitive or better than quick draw, and that's a dangerous game to play on shotguns because imagine another perk being better than quick draw on that slot. And, you know, we're going to have to go into imagination land here, but that could be a very dangerous perk, whatever that is.
Double slide distance, like imagine.
Draw.
Yeah.
Rapid draw.
You know, I do think that the sniper case, the low zoom case, is though a little bit of a difference, because I think that sniper zoom, I think a lot of people choose low zooms not because of the ease of use that we know as this group knows gives them, but more because of the average engagement distance on Destiny 2 maps and wanting to be able to snipe. And that's not even accounting for console's low FOV to begin with. So I think it's just less jarring overall. But I wanted to say for shotguns, taking a trip back to Forsaken Land when everyone used to use a low handling hand cannon, aka Not Forgotten, with a shotgun that did not have quick draw, Dust Rock Blues. You know, I think that, in my humble opinion, the game was in a pretty nice state when you had such a powerful primary and a reasonable, like not a long time, but a considerable amount of time for shotgun swap speed. So you have to really commit to your shotgun more, and if you did not, you were going to get deleted by primary. I think it just encouraged primary play more so than it does now, where it encourages this type of play where it's not that it doesn't take skill per se, but like put in a shot of a hand cannon, quick swap, clean up, or vice versa,
Perfect.
depending on the ranges, right? I liked before, personally, when we had a powerful primary and a slower swap speed shotgun, that you could really punish someone for committing at the wrong distance or over committing to their shotgun.
Good, you hit the backstory here so I can get into this. So yeah, there's two camps when it comes to this. Whether quick draw is a good thing or a bad thing on the shotgun. I agree that it's universally the best perk, but you got to be in one of these two camps, which is it takes more skill to operate the weapon instantly. You can use all of your skill, because you're not limited by the game, or it encourages more strategy because it is forced to be slowed down. As in, I need to have my shotgun here because I'm going to be in a close quarters engagement, or I need to have my primary because I'm going to bait somebody out into the distance. You have to think about that. When you have quick draw, you don't, because you can fix your mistake in a flash of an eye. You know.
The thing is, Cam, I did want to mention, because I know people are going to mention this, the quick draw glitch.
Yes.
Of course, the instant swap glitch.
Right, yep.
My take on this, and of course, I think back then people were still doing this too, if I can recall. My take on this is that's still a very deliberate, skillful movement, in my opinion. Like, that is almost a pseudo button combination that you have to execute relatively perfectly to reap the benefits of. And in that case, I'm okay with that, and I think that is now a skill, akin to, if I had to very, very loosely compare it to the other 2 button glitches, in that same realm of possibility, I'm okay with it for that reason.
Smash, melee, wave dashing, Halo,
Yep.
you know,
BXR.
BXR, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Classic stuff.
I definitely agree there.
Good stuff, boys. Good
Um,
stuff.
Yeah, even with that button glitch though, the quick swap, I still like quick draw. I take my entire mouse and keyboard build. Everything on my kit is for handling because it is that important. The shotgun blast to hand cannon cleanup or vice versa is just instrumental to
It's
top level
huge.
play, in my opinion.
No. That was a good discussion there. We got a little sidetracked, but I love it when we do because we get into the nitty gritty, which I think the people like hearing. But damn, we got to move on because we got so much more stuff. I want to talk to Cool Guy about general perk retuning and dynamic sway reduction.
Oh, dude.
Because I know he feels a certain way about it.
Oh, dude, I love it's like my favorite perk, man. It's funny, like we'll be streaming, like whenever I get a kill with my summoner, I say dynamic swag. It's so good. Like I love dynamic sway with rampage. Dynamic sway, like what it's doing, like how I envision it, is it's almost, and like you guys kind of talk with me, like I look at it as it's almost like a reverse Zen moment. Like as you're shooting, and it even says like after 10 shots, it's getting more stable, right? You don't need to hit anything with it. But like the main thing, as we've always said here on this pod, is anytime the word accuracy is stated within a mod, within a perk, on the gun, and they say, let's see here, what do they say about accuracy? Adds 10 stability over time in the addition to accuracy, and in quotes they say, or in parentheses, this is way more powerful, or it's more powerful than it sounds. So it's getting a buff, and it's already really good now. Like I can see it now, and I can feel it now in my gameplay. So all of your Galliards, your Summoner's going to be good. All the new weapons be looking for dynamic sway on.
So for the people at home, when dynamic sway is going to improve the accuracy, are they referring to cones?
Always.
Of course. So does the cone get toiter, like a toiger? The more you shoot, does it extend the cone? What are we talking about in physical? Dr. Drew, Drew B1 Konobi, tell the people, how does the cone get formed if we know by continued use of dynamic sway reduction?
Well, I mean, it's always been a good perk, because essentially what it does, and like even going back to D1 and looking at it, it essentially, instead of your accuracy cone expanding, continually tightens your accuracy cone while you're firing, which is incredibly strong. Now, that being said, it's not nearly as great as an effect when in ADS. We can't measure that in Destiny 2, which is why we have to kind of go by what it was in Destiny 1. It was a perk called Persistence. So when I looked at it in the ADS, say in Destiny 1, it was honestly like, to me, it was a little bit of a marginal bonus. It was still great because any form of an increase to accuracy is awesome. But it felt a little bit more on the marginal side to me. I think this buff that they're going to give it is really, really powerful. And that's because the other thing that happens when you fire a weapon consistently and without any resting to it, basically just continuous fire, your aim assist cone, the other cone, aside from the accuracy cone, shrink. Like that becomes less persistent. And the stability stat is the stat that actually keeps it more persistent and stops it from shrinking and gets it back to its full size quicker. So adding 10 stability, which 10 stability is a significant amount. Like, that is a noticeable amount. That's not only going to help you with your recoil control, but it's just going to make your gun universally now more consistent, because now you're tweaking both the cones. You got the accuracy cone, you got the accuracy boost, and now you're in turn also helping your aim assist out. And when those things are working together, your gun's going to be so disgustingly so it's going to be a very powerful.
Yeah, well put. I was reading this TWAB. I was thinking of you guys. I think I was tweeting that day, actually. And then, you know how sometimes if, like, Bungie will put out a really fire TWAB, you instantly go over to Twitter and, like, everyone's kind of posting screenshots of their favorite snippets of the TWAB, you know what I mean? I was reading, I was like, they're buffing dynamic sway reduction? This cool guy doing a dance right now? Like,
So it gets exciting, right? It gets exciting because think of an AR or a machine gun, and you have dynamic sway reduction with elemental capacitor. That's plus 30 stability, plus accuracy over time, plus you're adding mods on your helmet. Like, it's going to be a force, dude. Like, I'm excited about that kind of stuff. So be on the lookout for elemental capacitor dynamic sway. It's gonna be good.
there is... You should go through, if you're listening to our podcast right now, first of all, thank you. Second of all, go through DIM or whatever third-party app, Ishtar, whatever. Go through your vault, your postmaster. Look for weapons with dynamic sway reduction. And I think I've mentioned this before. There's what is the name of the gun? I have a very
Describe
good
it.
friend. Okay, I will describe it. I have a good friend. Some of you know her. Her name is Awoken Queen, better known as Amber. She's a Twitch partner. Lovely lady, and she has mained this auto rifle for quite a while. It's a 600 RPM. It is from the Trials of the Nine. So it's an old one, old auto rifle. Is it the Last Breath?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a good one.
Yeah. Okay. So if you participated in Trials of the Nine, if you've earned the Last Breath, I know that sunsetting is around the corner, but for now, for season 11, we don't have to worry about that yet. So if you have that gun, it rolls default with dynamic swag, and it's again a 600 RPM auto, which is the current sweet spot. So they're making that gun better, and I already use that gun for fun in quick play, and that thing shreds. I'm probably going to be using the what is it, the Last Breath? I'll be using it day one for sure, because I feel like that's gonna cause some problems in a fun way. So keep your eyes peeled for that gun. Just one man's opinion. We got a whole bunch of other perks here.
We got a lot.
Keep them coming. Let's
Keep
go.
them coming. We got Pulse Monitor. We got Hip Fire Grip and Sneak Bow. Do any of those leap out to
Hip
anyone?
Fire. Let's go.
Let's talk about
Yeah,
Hip Fire. Cammy, what you
I was
got?
gonna say Pulse Monitor.
You were gonna say
Pulse
Pulse Monitor?
Let's go
Pulse
in order.
Monitor's
Go
good.
Let's
Pulse
go
Monitor.
Pulse,
Quick
because
draw.
that's first.
Pulse Monitor is gonna be the new hot shit.
I
Talk to
think
me, Merc.
Pulse Monitor is gonna be interesting.
It's giving you handling, man. It's giving you plus 50% handling,
a
or
lot
plus
of
50 handling on the stat itself, right? Which is big. And then it's giving you a 5% faster swap speed. And in addition, instead of only reloading a third of your mag, it now reloads the entire magazine. So you're
That's
basically getting, auto-loading holster that triggers when you get wounded instead of just triggering by default, which admittedly is not as good. But you're also getting quick draw light just for taking damage, which in PvP is every single life. You're taking that amount. So I like it.
Mark, I was gonna ask. I don't know if or anyone here that might know this. 5% faster swap speed. Is that like a scalar to the animation then?
Yeah, so it's I could be mistaken about this, but I don't think I am. I think it works the same way that the reload stat does. So we actually probably should have talked about this earlier, but the reload stat is like a linear 0 to 100, right? And so you have like a minimum reload speed and a maximum reload speed, and that goes 0 to 100, kind of the way range does, right? Where it's like minimum range is 26, maximum range is 28, and then the range stat just linearly moves you up that thing. But then there's also the scalars, and the scalars get applied to that on top of it, right? Say you have a 1 second reload and a 0.8 scalar. Well, now your reload is 0.8 seconds. You basically multiply it by. So I think what's happening is that the scalar on this is 0.95. So they're saying that even if you have maxed out your handling speed with that plus 50 handling, that plus 5 faster swap speed is a 0.95 scalar onto the handling, is I believe what it is.
I think that's nuts. I literally have a Jacqueline King with Pulse Monitor, and if I'm gonna get into a gunfight where someone's got shots on me, I'm weak, it's gonna proc, I'm gonna be able to just swap super quickly, maybe split second faster than them to my shotgun and clean them up.
But let's say it doesn't do the scalar thing, then it's going to be the same issue as Threat Detector, which is one single stack of Threat Detector with the handling buff it gives. It's basically the same as Quick Draw. So maybe on lightweight weapons like Jack, Queen, King, Pulse Monitor might be one of the top picks because it will max out the handling regardless.
That's all I had on Quick Draw. I mean, Pulse Monitor.
Quick
Learn
Draw
the
2.
lines here. Quick Draw 2. I don't know if anyone else has anything, but in the interest of time, we can do Hipfire like you guys want to talk about.
Sure, yeah.
Real quick on Pulse Monitor, like back with Dustrock Luna, Dustrock Not Forgotten, like mine is, I have over 2,000 kills with it. Like it's Pulse Monitor Rampage. The deal with Pulse Monitor now, they say when critically wounded, so it's gonna kind of be like Underdog, right? Better handling. I think Underdog is gonna be better as far as handling, but it's now giving you some of that. But what was nice now, and again, this is not even the buffed part, is you start off with 2 rounds. You could get into an engagement, and you're gonna have one, get another kill. Like if you take any damage, it's just gonna keep auto reloading as you're going. Or if you're picking up bricks, say you just have 2, you spawn, you're using your primary, and you're picking up bricks, it reloads in the background. So like when you bring out the shotgun, it has 6. So a lot of times with the Pulse Monitor, you're not even really having to reload. Or with like Officer Revolver and these 180 hand cannons that are in a horrible spot that have 8 rounds in them, Pulse Monitor, when you're losing the gunfight because the gun kills so slow, towards the end of the mag, it starts throwing back into the magazine. But now it's just going to fully refill it. So it'll be good on primaries, specials. Like I'm pretty excited about it.
Me too, buddy. Me too. Yeah, so keep your eyes peeled on your vault. Any guns with Pulse Monitor, definitely put them on the short list of things you would want to use day 1, season 11. And with that, we're moving on to Hipfire Grip. So the text on the TWAB we got now helps you hit shots closer to ADS ranges. Still does not affect damage drop-off or magnetism. You're getting a plus 15 aim assist, a 1 point times 2 aim assist fall-off, and plus 1.7 degrees precision hipfire angle threshold. That's a lot of words. Do we have any general thoughts on the hipfire grip buff? Is this going to affect the last word?
Well, isn't it on the last word?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
I believe it is a perk built into the fabric of the last word.
The last word doesn't need it, but
But it's
I don't
getting
think
it.
it needs it,
Yeah.
but if it's getting it, like
getting
that's
it.
concerning.
thing is, I don't even have any issues now hitting like crits hipfire with the last word. So I mean, maybe this will make it easier, or maybe last word is already so good at what it does that it won't make a noticeable difference, right? I mean, at least on console using a controller, when I hipfire the last word, I pretty much am hitting what I aim at within the effective range of the weapon, which is pretty much sub 20 meters. But I'm pretty much hitting what I aim at. Hipfire is the only gun in the game that feels like Halo hipfire to me. It feels anywhere close to Halo hipfire. I shouldn't say it feels quite like it.
Very much.
What I think it'll do for the last word is it'll help people who maybe missed the first couple shots so that it's not as punishing.
I
Fair.
wanted to skim over this little portion they put here, if you don't mind me reading it.
Go for it, Drew. Yeah.
It says that, so next to all those words that say plus 1.7 degrees precision hipfire angle threshold. By default, when hipfiring a weapon, the center of your reticle must be over a target in order to get a critical hit. Otherwise, aim assist will give you the body shot. This change gives you a little leniency. So if the center of your reticle is not directly over a target, you will still get the critical hit if you're within this angle. So this is interesting because to my knowledge, the last word, what makes it really unique and responsive is that the last word, from what I've noticed, is one of the only weapons, if not the only weapon in the game, that gives you aim assisted headshots. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed this. If you ever like try and slightly aim off a target like you would another hand cannon with hipfire of the last, or with the last word versus another hand cannon, the last word will like give you headshots from when you're within the aim assist cone but not the accuracy cone, but other hand cannons won't. So I'm curious as to if this description here is saying that other weapons are going to be able to maybe do that a bit more. That's
what it sounds like to me, and why
Maybe.
I'm so excited about that perk. Because I'm just imagining typical shotgun stompy duel, right? You do the short hop out, blast him with the shotgun, stompy jump really high. If I don't have to aim down sights anymore to get a headshot, that's phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because what it's saying here is it's saying, again, to just try and read this over, it's saying the center of your reticle must be over a target to get a crit when hip firing. Otherwise, the aim assist will give you a body shot. So that, I'm assuming that means the crosshair for the accuracy cone needs to be, like with the last word as well, last word's a bad example because it can do other than that, but with another hand cannon, the accuracy cone needs to be over the target specifically. Otherwise, you're just going to get a body shot. So I think this is going to make it other weapons more lenient or closer leniency to the last word. And I think Cam might be right in saying that like the last word, because it already is kind of inherently doing this, might not see a big difference other than, I think, on mouse and keyboard, if I had to be honest. Because currently on mouse and keyboard, it feels like if you're not aiming within the accuracy cone that it shows, like you're not hitting headshots 9 times out of 10, I want to say.
Yeah.
So I think mouse and keyboard might specifically see the biggest difference from last word, and Cam has a really good prediction.
It's still super powerful. That and Tommy's never leave my inventory. Since you can't use last word in the energy slot, Tommy's matchbook is my replacement. It does a similar thing with the hipfire.
On a side note, Bad Juju is another gun with hipfire grip. Exciting.
Interesting. Does Tommy have hipfire grip?
Oh, on top of the reload tuning too, Bad Juju might be the PvE call, Drew.
It's interesting. I was trying it the other day, and I'm like, you know, kind of trying out different hipfire weapons because I love hipfire, like Merc said, Halo.
That's true. Well, that'll be an interesting change. I don't really have any thoughts on sneak bow.
Nobody
like,
does.
No.
Yeah, I was talking to my buddy about sneak bow, and I actually thought it was better than it was, and I still didn't use it, which goes to show you how bad it was. I was talking to him, and I was like, yeah, doesn't it completely remove you from the radar when you're using sneak bow? And he's like, no, it doesn't do that. I was like, what? It doesn't? Isn't that the point? And it was like, no, you can hold your bow longer when you're crouched. I was like, oh, that's what it does? I literally thought it was better than that. Still wasn't using it. I promise you that not making me show up on radar when I shoot a bow is not going to. Probably not going to make me use this perk.
I would agree.
But for those tempo and stuff like that.
I wish they would change the perfect draw on bows. It's too short.
Not perfect enough.
Not if you're a hunter. With
the semi-perfect draw.
Exactly. Like when you see monarchs and all these bows, they're on Oathkeeper hunters, right?
Yes.
So like
Yeah,
the other
that's
classes, like it just needs to be a little bit longer.
Well, true.
IMO.
Fair.
Yeah. When I see anything that has to do with crouching and then hip fire all on the TWAB next to each other, it reminds me of the Taken E perk from Destiny 1. And at one point, that one got nerfed and nobody seemed to use it. What that one did is it gave you perfect hip fire for just crouching. It was one of the most nuts perk in the game just ever. I don't know. I'm hearing this, getting the war flashbacks back to no scoping.
Yeah, well, those are 3 major perks that are getting reworked. Bungie goes on to mention that they're going to do some archetype buffs. Now, I could quickly gloss over 2 out of 3 of them, because if I know this crowd, and I think I do, there's 1 that we probably want to talk about, and 2 that are like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. So the two that are, yeah, it's fine. We got slug shotguns and PvE, extra 30%. Yay, good for that. In PvE, we got more damage for bows, more damage versus miners, 10%. Wow, that's what everyone wanted. And then there's the third change, which is high impact frame pulse rifles that are being underused in PvP. So they do have a great optimal time to kill on paper, but they're trying to make it easier to achieve that time to kill. They're not changing the time to kill itself. They're making it more easy to acquire, and they're doing so by changing the damage per bullet in Season 11 from 21 to 22. So changing it from a 6 crit kill, aka 2 full bursts in your enemy's noggin, to still 2 bursts, but one of those bullets can hit in the chest, in the neck, whatever. And you will get that kill at most resilience values, they say. Gentlemen, what are we thinking on the high impact change season 11? Anyone
Einstein D meta, maybe. Einstein D coming through.
Yeah, I was looking at 3 guns in particular. The Einstein D, which is very farmable, by the way, right now. Very farmable. If you guys are like me, you're sitting on a mountain of gunsmith materials, right? Just go to Banshee. Just dump them all in. You could probably get a good roll. Maybe get one with pulse monitor for for that weapon change. There's the Premonition, which is the one you can get from Eris Morn on the Moon. That one's not bad. And there's the Redrix's Broadsword.
He said
that is like wild. For those of you who have that gun, I've kind of had it in my vault for a long time, but I'm excited to get it back out because even though that the change looks minor on paper, I think it's going to play. I think on the right maps, I think it'll be really fun to whip out Redrix or something else. You guys with me on that?
Yeah, I think that's a big improvement to Redrix because once you have that Desperado active, which increases its rate of fire,
that's right.
You're probably going to be more likely to just spray and pray. And if you pick up the kill easier, then that's great.
I always really love buffs to high impact. And the reason being, because they're inherently the archetype, in my opinion, that requires you to remain the most calm, pace your shots, and place them really effectively. And conversely, if you don't, you are punished more than any other archetype. So I really love to see buffs that encourage people to use a weapon archetype that really puts emphasis on you placing your shots. And ideally, you should be getting good reward for that. High impact pulses give you some of that reward. But right now, it's still a little too steep, I guess, requirement for the majority in terms of the consistency of that versus other offers.
Yeah. So is this a good balance for you, Drew? Like, you feel like you wouldn't want to reward them too much. You know what I mean? Like, if it was one full crit burst and then like a full body burst, like that would be too ridiculous, right? But like, we're trying to find that right balance of how many headshots do we require to reward players with a really effective dank time to kill, right? So you feel like this is probably going to be maybe in the sweet spot, you think?
I think it's close to it, definitely. I mean, we all have to try it, see what we think, obviously, but I think that there's 2 main factors with these high impacts. Again, it's the fact that they have the most punishment because their slow rate of fire for you missing shots, just any kind of body or head, right? Like you are punished the most out of any other weapon. And then on top of it, there's the headshot factor.
I think the buff is warranted for sure, though. Based on, I guess, the baseline level of power Bungie seems to be looking at. Because the other alternative would be nerf the rapid fires. I did a video on Inverse Redrix, is what I called it. The Horror's Least pulse rifle. It's a rapid fire with kill clip. And it does essentially the same thing. You get a kill reload, and it can 2 burst at that same RPM that Redrix will get Desperado. But the difference is it's a rapid fire, so you get to have that just off the rip. So you can just spray and pray, which makes it a better choice, in my opinion. Just slightly a better choice. What this high impact pulse buff does is now make it a harder decision between the 2.
Agree.
Good call.
Buff lightweight frames.
Yeah, please.
Need to say that, man.
For all our sake.
Buff Trinity goal.
We gotta say it in every episode. Now I want to get to a couple community questions because I feel like we get so in the weeds, which I love. I love that we get in the weeds with these talks about weapons and numbers and cones, because that's what the people want to hear. But I do want to get to the community questions. I just really quickly want to put out there that there are 3 weapons that Bungie are telling us flat out in Season 12, which is, worlds away, that they're going to be taking a closer look at, which are sniper rifles, specifically the Revoker and the Beloved, hand cannons, and adaptive auto rifles are going to be put under the microscope. So stay tuned for that. Not this coming season, not Season 11, Season 12. Keep your eyes peeled for possible changes there. Boys, any 1-sentence predictions on anything under that umbrella?
Medium zoom scopes, okay hand.
I was honestly just wanted to ask for clarification. Is this Sandbox preview all the Sandbox changes that we're getting for this season 11?
That
Or
is
is
a
there-
great question. Is this a preview or is this the full menu? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Yeah,
Let
yeah.
me call the-
That's fantastic. give me a ring real
I have
quick.
no idea, to be honest.
Put
I
it on
didn't know if
speaker. Yeah, I don't know. Great question. I guess we'll find out soon. I guess we shall find out soon.
Well, I'm sure we could do an entire episode talking about these 3 massive weapon types and changes.
Probably.
Sounds like a preview of next week.
Definitely sounds like it. So I am realizing now that I think we had corralled a few community questions from Twitter. Thank you for reaching out with your questions on Twitter into our Discord message. I'm just realizing that if I wanted to access those questions that we shared in our group DM on Discord, I would have to minimize this video call.
Okay, I can read them.
Thank you, Cammy.
All right, let's see. This is going to be from user @yourboyjordan asking, everybody, what snipers in the sandbox now do you think will be replacing Revoker and Beloved in year 4 once they are retired?
The Supremacy, for sure, from Last Wish. Old sniper, but definitely going to be making a comeback because it's not getting sunset with the other ones.
Oh, you're
Any
right,
comments,
because it's
Drew?
part of the Last Wish.
Anything? There's some backstory here.
Come on, Drew, tell us. Tell us
I'm
everything.
going to
Open
bring
up.
great shame to myself by saying this, but the Omniscient Eye is my pick for sniper rifle going forward.
It's
Omniscient
awesome.
Eye.
It's
I
awesome,
hate
Drew.
myself. I hate myself.
Why
because-
do you hate yourself?
Because I made a video that became an inside joke with my stream and
Okay.
my little community that I said when everyone was freaking out about Omniscient Eye making reviews, I'm like, this sniper sucks. Like, this thing is so overrated. I hate it. And you know what? The game's changed since then. Okay, in my defense. But I just ripped on it so much. Like I just tore it up compared to the Twilight Oath, because Twilight Oath sniper. And I was like, this ain't no Twilight Oath. This thing sucks.
Yeah, that was
So-
one of the first snipers to get added that wasn't even a side grade. And yeah, it was just evidently bad. But now
Yeah,
since
so,
it's the only option, supposedly.
And now that is, I am now maining the beam rifle, as I call it. So, how the tables have turned.
It's funny. I don't remember your video trash talking it, but it's funny. I came into your Twitch chat and you're like, "Yo, Fallout, bro! Isn't this gun the beam rifle from Halo?"
I'm just trying to
It's the
make
beam
myself feel better, man. I just keep telling myself I'm using it because of the beam rifle now.
Just kiss.
I
Such a good
I
thing.
literally spent streams and streams just telling everyone, dude, that gun sucks. I will never use that thing. And then Bungie was probably like, all right, sunset everything and make sure that's the only gun you can use.
Good
Joke.
call.
Yeah, so besides those two, I have to, shout out the exotic snipers because those will always be with us regardless of sunsetting.
True.
Izanagi's is phenomenal, and Borealis is a high impact. So no matter what gets sunset, you can still body shot with an Emperor with Borealis.
So hold on, I gotta say this about Borealis. What's interesting about it is it's a high impact, it's an aggressive archetype, but these stats are all these stats of a rapid fire archetype. That's what makes Borealis feel so good, even though the exotic perk for PvP is a little lackluster. All the stats and all the feeling, it feels like a rapid fire, but it does the damage of an aggressive.
That is my go-to controller sniper because, obviously it's just a totally different input method for me. So I learned one snipe on it, and no matter what the season, it's always going to be Borealis for me.
Well put.
All right, so next question. This
Roll it
one's
on.
from HX Fear No Fish. It's like one of those elite speak tags, but
Gotcha.
anyhow, he says, given that sunsetting means that we are leaving a lot of our favorite legendary weapons behind, decent exotics may be considered more important than ever. What's one lackluster exotic weapon that you have an attachment? Hold on, I'm gonna pull up the whole question here.
A lackluster exotic that you have an attachment to.
Attachment with that you wish could get made a bit better in the future. Yeah, I'm glad I brought that up because that was a good second.
Changes the way
portion
we
there.
look at it. I'm gonna go with Bastion, I think. Could use a little love from Bungie. make it a little bit stronger. But no, I love Devil's Ruin is the one that I think of. I think Devil's Ruin is actually already good on its own. I don't actually think it probably needs to be. But in terms of how the community views it, I think a lot of people view Devil's Ruin as a little bit lackluster. But I freaking love it, man.
It's
at a dark
strong.
point in the game, at a dark point in the game, it brought me immense joy in PvP like nothing else does. So
That's a great one.
Yeah, that's a really fun weapon. Exotic that needs more love. I'm gonna go with the Malfeasance. I'm gonna go with that gun.
That's a great pick.
It's fun. There's something like I wouldn't take it into. I don't know. Like if you were to watch a top level tournament, you know what I mean, top level PvP play, I doubt that anyone on either team would be rolling deep with the Malfeasance. But that doesn't mean that it's bad. I just think that it's a fun weapon. I love the design. Love the way it feels. Love the way it looks. It's just I think it's cool. I would love it if it got a little bit more love. Really enjoy that.
Two
gun.
catalysts with it off the top of my head. Number one, Icarus would be nice because it is a 180 without Icarus somehow.
Boom.
But then the second one, what if it gave you a stack of Rampage for anybody getting a kill with Malfeasance?
That might be fun.
All right.
One thing. Go ahead, cool guy. It was not important.
No, I just say Trinity Gold. It's like the worst weapon in the game. You have to do something about Trinity Gold.
Getting a triple kill with Trinity Goal ends the game.
Like, I have to say something about it.
Lightweights and Trinity Goal is the hill cool guy dies on.
Yep.
Yep.
I
Confirmed.
respect it.
Confirmed. All right,
It's
Cammy,
really
hit.
interesting that-
Oh, go on.
It's really
It's all-
interesting that you said that about Malfeasance. Because did
Yeah.
you know that Malfeasance does not get the precision hand cannon archetype buff, even though it's 180?
I did not know that. No.
So it blooms more than other 180s.
That's bull
It is-
crap, Bungie.
It is tangibly worse.
bull
It is just
crap.
worse.
You hearing
Yeah.
this?
Yeah, I found that out the other day.
Top of the
So-
priority list. All
Can-
right. Whatever you have up there,
Malfeasance-
cross it off.
in Malfeasance 5-tap from any range because of the
Yes, it is
detonation.
I think
Super
because
strong.
yeah, because the barbs that bury into the person, they blow
That's
up.
the Widow's
Yeah,
Court
that's
hand
the-
cannon.
it's pretty fun. It's a fun weapon. Just,
My
Um,
pick for an exotic would be either Malfeasance, because by principle, or Trinity Ghoul, but that's not the one I have an attachment to. Mine is Sturm. Sturm's perk, where it got buffed for the duration of its current magazine to do just 4 more damage. Just 4 more damage. So the head only was removed supposedly as a bug and never implemented back again. And that perk gave Sturm its identity. Why? Because you could get a shotgun or sniper kill, and for the rest of your single mag of the Sturm, which I think is very fair, you could 2-tap people under 4 resilience. Or it would stop the 6 resilience from stopping you from getting a 1 crit 2 body. And that to me gave Sturm its identity without draying, without interrupting the payoff that you got with draying. And I'm upset about it.
I want to be angry too. I'll answer Polaris Lance now. Because the same reason. It just had a bug that never got fixed, and this is the bug. The way Polaris Lance works is you land the 4 headshots, and you get the explosive round loaded into it. It's like an incendiary delayed explosive. It's super cool, super versatile, and it's kind of like pocketing kill clip just by getting headshots, which is what you want to do with it anyway. It's one of the strongest weapons in the game because it is a 150 scout, and for those who don't know, the spare rations is a 150 hand cannon, so you're getting the same time to kill with a scout rifle as you get with the hand cannon. Although it does have more zoom than a hand cannon, it has crazy aim assist. You can be really loose with your aim and still hit headshots. It's one of the naughtiest guns in the game, and it doesn't get used because of that bug. So if that got fixed, might change. But if it was fixed, I would answer the lasers, like all of them. Cold Hard, Prometheus Lens, Wave Splitter, etc. Give them more ammo or something, some way to get more ammo.
Really the only thing they need. I mean, they're really, really good when you have ammo, which is rare, unfortunately. But I mean, Wave Splitter in particular is really, really fun.
Agree.
Okay, next question. This one is from Van Holden 304. He says, I would like to know what everyone's favorite subclass to run right now is and why.
I don't know. I mean, I'll take it. First off, shout out to Van Holden because he's one of the best players I've ever played with. He's on Xbox and he's actually in my clan, so we play together a lot. He is really disgusting to play with, so shout out to him. But Invis, Way of the Trapper, Night Stalker right now. Invis dodge and smoke that shows up on radar that you can use to go invis, throw the smoke in one direction, then go invis. Use that smoke to bait someone into looking at a corner while you flank behind them. I'm actually using it right now with Graviton Forfeit, which gives you like an extra 1.5 seconds of invisibility, which I have found is like the absolute perfect amount to get all the way around a lot of the flanks in the game and get behind you if you run full speed. So I'm loving Invis Night Stalker right now.
I'm going to say tie between two. One of them is Top Tree Dawnblade, which admittedly I need to practice more with, because when you watch the potential of that subclass unleashed, it's like, ooh, dude, it's like watching watching a painter paint. It's beautiful. I love the melee. Like, isn't the melee just dirty? Like, you just weaken someone, boom, he just fireballs in your face, kid. Just wizard. And then Middle Tree Sentinel, which I had ignored for a long time. Middle Tree Sentinel. It is because I think most people go for the bubble by default, because it's the bubble. It's timeless. We've had bubble forever. But Middle Tree, especially for trials, I think it's a lot of fun. Like, you just pop it. I am so comfortable popping my super, even in like a 1v3 in trials, because what are you gonna shoot me? It's like I have a 100-foot wide purple void wall of death. You can't break that. Well, you can, but I mean, I'm gonna revive my entire team by the time you're done shooting me. It's really fun. I enjoy both of those a lot.
I pretty much main Middle Tree Night Stalker with the Kepris, but like the one I've been playing and enjoying lately is Bottom Tree Gunslinger with the Ahamkara Spine. And that Bottom Tree Gunslinger to me has always been, well, just Gunslinger in general, my favorite sub in all of Destiny, going back into D1, because it enhances your gunplay, and I love the weapons in the game. So like whenever you get light 'em up, knock 'em down, like whenever you get those perks going, practice makes perfect. Like the guns just feel amazing in your hands. But you're getting that super energy as you're getting tags, and we're playing trials with Fallout here. Like you get your golden gun pretty much first every single time, because you have those perks and you can use them. And the spine, I mean, it lasts for so long. When you get a tag, you get 50% of the energy back. You can run high discipline. Just a really fun build, really fun sub to use.
Drew?
Oh, me first?
Yeah, you first.
Very, very close tie between Spectral Blades and Top Tree Dawnblade, simply because, and I always mention it, reminds me of my favorite anime characters, and they both have incredibly high skill ceiling. Top Tree Dawn, I think I like better, dare I say, than Spectral Blades, because it just, I don't know, that class is both just has an incredibly high skill ceiling. It has such cool looking abilities that are so unique and just feel so badass, yet again take so much skill to use at its full potential, as you probably have seen a lot of top tier players use. But again, Spectral Blades, I feel the same way. Flawless execution feels once again so badass. Camo is such an amazing ability to take advantage of. So yeah, those are my favorites.
Okay, I'm choosing one from my favorite anime, SpongeBob. This is the 2-minute grace. I like dropping the sword, the healing thing. I declare these fry cook games open right when the sword drops, and getting a kill with it is so funny. But really, it's because the healer is amazing. It maybe isn't an obvious S tier in the competitive realm of things, but it's a fun way to play. Buff your teammates, make sure everyone's healthy. Keep going with healing grenades and the rift, cycle them. Use the healing grenade to float in the air for extended distances. I use a fusion nade now, so I can definitely have some bite with that. Shoot them with a hand cannon in the leg and just chunk the fusion. See ya, dude. Yeah, that's what I've been doing. The 2-minute of grace.
Yeah, underrated for sure.
I think that's all the questions that we had in that chat.
Well, that is perfect timing, because it's the end of the frickin' show. I think it was a good one. We've got a lot coming up around the corner. We are ready, I guess, most of us, for Season 11. By the time you are listening to this episode, if you're not here live, it'll just be days. The new season, Season 11 of D2, is on June 9th. And I don't think anyone knows what's happening. Bungie's been very tight-lipped about everything, which is kind of somewhat annoying, but also exciting to a degree. I'm hoping that it's going to be fun and awesome. And then we have, what is it, year 4 coming up in the fall, which I think is going to be really nutty. I don't even know, but we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining us. Do we want to quickly go around the table and let everyone know where they can find us? Maybe starting with Cammy.
Sure, you can find me at twitch.tv/CammyCakes or at youtube.com/CammyCakesGaming.
Cool Guy, how about you?
You can do Twitter and YouTube /Cool Guy Games, and Twitch is going to be I Am Cool Guy Games.
Drew, let them know.
My Twitter is at Drewsky's channel. You can check me out on YouTube, youtube.com/Drewsky's channel, and then on Twitch where I live stream, twitch.tv/Drewskys.
Merc, the floating power icon, please tell the people where they can find you.
Hercules 904 on Twitter, on Xbox, and Destiny Massive Breakdowns is my other podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts at.
Beautiful. And I'm Fallout. You can find me youtube.com/Fallout Plays, twitch.tv/Fallout Plays, pretty much anywhere at Fallout Plays. Just use Google. It's not that hard. Thank you for joining us. We do our Firing Range podcast every other Wednesday at twitch.tv/DCP_live. And we thank you all for listening to us and joining us. And we hope that all of you stay safe out there. We appreciate all of you. Be well. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.
So now we also have to host someone, right?
Yes.
I am
Great.
ending.
But I
my
mean,
recording
that was
now.
the official ending of the recorded podcast, but we're still live
And it's
on
done.
Twitch. We're still live on Twitch. So end that audacity. You Tefty, hearing all this? Tefty, cut this out.
Thanks for
Just cut
hanging
it
out, chat.
Cut this out and that
It was
out.
really fun.
That was a good one. That was fun.
Yeah, that was good. And we still have a lot to talk about, a lot of unknown.
This is episode 7.
This is episode 7, correct? Yeah.
Sure is.
Again, chat, real talk. Thank you all very much for joining us for the show. Last time I tried to tell a little extra and my microphone cut out. Remember that?
Yep.
That was fun. So we have a pre-show apparently, which so next, when is this next show record? The 17th. We should be recording the next show on the 17th. And if you're around, and I don't know what the rules are, check with Aries. Check with Aries on that. But I think if you're a patron of DCP, something like that, you can join their Discord and hang out in the voice chat to listen to us talk before the show about whatever we're talking about that day. So yeah, tune in for that, maybe. Something. And who should we host on Twitch? Who's on?
Watts is on, isn't she?
Watts is on? That's a good pick. I like that.
Yeah,
On
PvP look.
Let's take a quick gander at the directory. Yeah, we got Watts, we got us, we got Tefty, Chevy, Swetsicle, Chibi, Evan. We got a bunch of people. Who's your vote for?
How about
just
Watts?
go with Watts. You already said
I'm
Watts.
gonna vote Watts. We're done. It's been done. Aries, can you make that happen? Do we have to make that happen? Who makes that happen? I don't know.
Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us.
For sure.
Talking some Destiny.
Talking some games. Big
Next
heart.
week I'll have my camera up and you guys will be able to see my freshly shaven face
Beautiful.
without me hearing like the war mind every time I try to talk.
I mean, it's kind of like the Warmind without the cam anyway.
Yeah, I like it. It's like you're as knowledgeable as Rasputin, but with like a little more personality. So.
I'm the anonymous voice in the background.
All right, there they just cut it. Here, I'm gonna cut the feed here.